This one's been bothering me for months. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. So 7 months ago, I saw this show up on Reverb, listed as a 2003 Gibson SG Supreme in the emerald finish, labeled a copy, and priced as a copy. My first thought process is, hey, sorry, you can't sell fakes on Reverb. It's against their terms of service. But as I clicked on it, I thought, for a copy, that's not looking half bad here. It's got the 24 frets, that's the real mother of pearl. You can see it just barely sparkle in the light. Doesn't have the slotted bridge. It looks about like what you would expect one of these early 2000s SG Supremes to look like. Sure, one of the hats is missing its metal topper, but those things fall off all the time. But then I got to this photo. There's no way this guitar is a fake. That is the real deal stuff. So my next thought process was, is he using photos of a real one to sell a fake that he's buying in bulk from China for like $250 a piece and making a profit, tricking somebody into buying it, and then when they say, hey, this isn't real, you go, hey, I told you it was a copy. Or is this somebody who's just selling a real Gibson as a fake because a troll tricked him into thinking that he had a counterfeit? So in weighing those options in my head, I decided to check out his feedback. Seller 5 times, all 5-star feedbacks of, pedals and actual guitar. So I was comfortable enough to take the chance. But unfortunately, someone got to it first. So I'll never know, did somebody get a screaming deal? Is it like the time that I bought a Chibson and got a real Gibson, heavily super ultra modified? So I decided to stalk this guy's account, thinking, somebody's gonna leave a 5-star feedback if they actually got it. And to my dismay, I've been holding on to this story for long enough. We never got a feedback, so we will never know if that person was happy with their purchase or not. Well, that's the story tonight, my friends. Potentially a real Gibson sold for Chibson pricing. But we've got more fun ones to look at tonight. Look at what Rock and Roll Vintage over in Chicago, Illinois pulled up. They called it a Doom Machine. And to that, I've got to say, yeah, 100% agree. That thing has seen some smoky bars. It's got the tar over top of it. There's no getting that binding white again until you wear through it like you're seeing right here in the armresting area. You always have to love these ultra ambered over guitars, because usually a guitar will not get to this color through normal aging. Typically it's because it was a bar dog or the owner heavily smoked in their home and it sat on a stand. And with smoking being less and less popular nowadays, and in many locations being outlawed in buildings, you just don't see guitars age like this as much anymore. If somebody wanted to make a lot of money in the relic business, they would find out how to do this without it looking cheap. Because sure, you can just spray a really heavily ambered over clear coat over it, but it just never seems to match the same vibe as a true relic. I had a Silverburst Les Paul custom like this at one point in time, but this one does not look like a stand baby. It was heavily played, and not too bad of a weight for this era of guitars. This one's supposedly from 1980, which you can just barely see through that serial number. But very nice, somebody upgraded our nut to a brass one. That was very in at the time. And those T-tops must be pretty good. All they did was take the covers off of them. And impressive, still the original frets. And not even a trying out of a different pickup set. That's original solder work. They were asking $5,000 and that did not last long at all. It was vibey. Oh, and hey, they confirmed the usual story. Super cigarette smell in the control cavity. Next up, another unique one from Chicago. This one is a Koa Top Les Paul Standard. I thought it'd be worth featuring just because it's kind of unique. It's not usually what I associate Koa looking like, but it's got some cool ringy wood grain, and then you've got like a singular mustached area of flame figuring before you get more to your plain grain again. But the cream plastics look nice on that. It's not what I normally associate a reissue 1960 Les Paul to look like, but if you're looking for something different, I don't see why not. And hey, is that a new custom 2024 medallion? I haven't seen that exact version before, but that's a dark back finish, and it comes with the standard custom shop style case with special CME logo, COA. $8,399. There was a substantial premium put on that for the top. Generally, these are about $6,700 brand new, but it's ended and gone. But speaking of unique tops, I love the Heritage series that Gibson did in the early 80s. If you need to learn about it, here's a video. You can find some really beautiful tops. Check out Bubbles, that's a great quilty one. But how do you guys feel about this one? It reminds me of like an extremely heavy quilt top, but it's not extremely heavily quilted. Like it's very veiny, not really super deep with the quilt territory. It's got a little bit going to it. It's kind of got like the chevron quilt as far as like the direction that it wants to go. I just found this top rather interesting and unique. The whole early 80s of Gibson history is just really cool because it's them slowly getting back on the right track after they were just a little bit crazy in the 70s. But this one is limited edition number 1308, dating to 1981. Looks like somebody upgraded the pots in this one, but hey, it's Floyd Leonard's signature there. He liked that top as well, that's why we've got a star. But I was impressed by this. It still has all the case candy. This one right here, with the serial number filled out and everything, that's a rare piece of case candy. Unfortunately, not enough people kept those around, or kept the original cases. But the best thing is this one was very reasonably priced for one of those, $4,500. It ended up selling, but that was located in Thailand. But I've got another Heritage 80 to share with you. This is a fantastically even quilt top. Just kind of an example of what you could find. Now, part of the price ranges of the Heritage series really does come down to the top. A really plain one, you might be able to pick up for $3,800 if you're lucky, but the really nice top dogs, it's not uncommon to see them sell upwards of $8,000. For the very right example that has the crazy top and the really clean condition. Most you're usually in the $5K-ish range, but this one's got a nice low serial number too. Initial year of production, 1980, number 320. It's very common for the handles to fall off on that style case, but that one was definitely used. But we've still got the original Tim Shaw PAFs. And if you know to look for it, yep, another Floyd Leonard sign-off. Now check out Liquid Lunar Lilac. This is one of those Les Paul Jr. tribute guitars, which were awesome at the time. We know now how spoiled we were back in 2018, 2019 when these things reigned supreme. You could pick them up for like anywhere between $700 and $1,000 brand new, depending on what model you were after and what year we're talking about. You can't touch a USA-made Gibson for that anymore. But they were a cheaper satin finish, and somebody decided to take one and make it glorious. It would fit right in with an 80s rocker band. Single P90, wrap tailpiece, master volume, master tone, really cool rainbow shimmery refinish, top, back, and sides and neck, upgraded into the gloss finish. Decided to throw a tacky Gibson truss rod cover on something that's already branded Gibson, but okay, whatever. And I always tell you guys, it's hard to judge the quality of a refinish by photos, but you can tell they did it right. Somebody knew what they were doing when they crafted this one. And oh cool, this is one of the side jack models. Tells us it was the later made version. The earlier ones had the jack on the front. And this is the other reason why I saved this. If you are ever going to do a modification refinish project to your guitar, and there's a slight chance that one day you might sell it on, take photos of the guitar before. This way you can prove what the serial number is, because sometimes they get covered over by the new paint, or they're hard to read, or you lose them during the light sanding process. So to prove that it's not stolen, you have these photos. Now it's to stop someone just from taking this from an old Reverb ad. It gets a little bit hairy there, but if you could take the photos at the same area, that would help. Another thing you want to prove is that there's no other breaks, cracks, repairs, or like Kaler routes or any other modifications that are hiding underneath the paint. Now on the used market, these seem to fetch around $1,000 to $1,200 usually, so honestly, not that bad of a price for a custom refin. Now unfortunately, they don't say who did the work, but with a name like Remarkable Refinishing, I would assume it was them. Looks like they like to do that whole purple to pink finish, because they did it over here on an American Pro Telecaster, and they upgraded it to like a tooled leather pickguard. Really something that looks similar to that, done up in white. I feel the black plastics works this finish a little bit better, but ultimately I think that depends on the person who wants to play it. I kind of like the darker vibes. That is a really cool color changing finish. So here it is in low lighting versus high lighting. And this I just thought was a regular Epiphone V from their shop. It got marked down to $800, but they called it Caviar Pearl. I would assume some sort of a black sparkle. Yeah, that's not too bad. Finishes like these you just have to appreciate in person. This guy needs to sign up for the mod collection. Gibson's always headhunting good talent like that. Although many times, once you're up and running, you're better off just doing your own thing. Like sometimes I'll get a comment saying, hey, why don't you work for Gibson? It's because I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing right now, working for myself. I couldn't go back to working a traditional job. I've got too many goals with my current role. And further along those lines, I don't even really know where I would fit. Can you really put me in marketing? Because I'm not going to say only nice things. That's not in my nature. I want to talk it through and give you like the other options that might be good. Although at the same time, I'm not nasty like some reviewers out there. But it's a fun question I get asked sometimes. Lastly tonight, another one from that same seller over in Ohio. This one I saved because it's like, are you sure that's still a Les Paul Studio? Like, I thought this looked overly rounded to be a Gibson product, but no. I think when he did this refinish work, he might have like additionally carved the top just a little bit. And I like the color scheme that he did on here. This kind of ambery sunburst mixed with kind of inconsistent flame, I think is the best way to put it. But I thought it actually looked pretty good, all things considered. Nice and glossy. But again, you never know how it's gonna feel. Like, this one looks a little bit different from the past ones that we've been seeing, but I bet it'd be alright. My only suggestion to the guy is stop putting these doofy truss rod covers on it. It just makes them look like Epiphones that have been dressed up, in my opinion. But cool, check this out. This must have been one of the tribute models, because it's got the maple neck. That works well with his finish. But this photo kind of scares me. Is that the grain didn't get filled in right there? Is it really gonna be splotchy like that, or does the clear coat cover that? That's one of those questions that you can't answer by photos only. But alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed our gear hunt and stories tonight. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.